Somebody asked me a question the other day that really set me back on my heels. What would be my dream project for the world of Greyhawk? And I want to talk about it today on Greyhawk Grognard. In the past, I've done videos on what if I owned D&D or what if I owned Greyhawk, but this is a little bit different. This is a single project that I'm trying to isolate in my own mind. If I could do only one thing in the world of Greyhawk, what would it be? And it's a really tough question for me because I've got so many ideas. And a lot of things that I'm in the middle of working on that in various stages of completion. I'm doing a big thing on the Sundered Empire, which is Northwest Oric. I'm doing various dungeons and I'm doing various source books and stuff. It's how do I pick one out of all that? The one thing that I would want to put out there that would be like my lasting legacy in Greyhawk. Now, one of the things that's always fascinated me, back in, I guess, 1981 or something in Dragon Magazine, Gary mentioned the city-state of Stoink, Wasp's Nest, as a module that he was coming up with that would be published eventually. And it always fascinated me. And we got to see a little bit of the city-state of Stoink in the first Gord the Rogue book, because that's where Evely is being held, and that's where Gord meets Geller. And it just came to life. It was just such a great place. And in one of the Q and A's, uh, uh, the we from one of the Q and A's that's been online, we know that the notes for that city state of Stoic exist. They survived Gary's leaving TSR, so they're somewhere in the estate's papers is the city state of Stoic. That would be a great thing to see come to life. But is that really my dream project? Is that like the one thing that I could do to make my mark on Greyhawk? Probably not. I mean, we've already got so many great things. We've got, obviously we've got Castle Greyhawk, we've got Castle Zagig, which is an alternate Greyhawk, Castle Greyhawk. We've got the World of Greyhawk itself. We've got these wonderful modules. I've been working on a history of the world of Greyhawk. Not, not having anything to do with mechanics or adventures or whatever, just a history, a history book, and that would be so helpful to a lot of people in setting stuff up. Oh, I want to set a campaign out, in the past, or we're doing a time travel thing, or if I want to bring something from the past and have it, resonate into the present. Having a history like that, I think would be really, really helpful, and I'm working on it. But is that my number one? Boy, if I could do this, I could die happy. Probably not. It's a really tough question to answer. Um, and I'm not sure there is a definitive answer, although I'm going to try to kind of work around it. So maybe if I do it by category, I might be able to come up with something because you got a bunch of different kinds of products that you can do, projects and stuff. You can do standard adventures. You can do a rules supplement that's specific to Greyhawk. There's source books. There's fiction. There's war games. There's board games. There's a whole bunch of different categories of things you could do with the world of Greyhawk if you had a mind to do so and the ability. So for, like an examples of adventures, I'm still working on 4 or 5 different adventures in Greyhawk slash Greyheim. Um, and so there's nothing really compelling. I want to do a module that connects Temple of Elemental Evil to Lost Caverns of Sajkanth. I think that would be very interesting and very useful and stuff. But is that really my dream project? Probably not. It's something I want to do, but it's not like the capstone of my Greyhawk fandom career. Um, there's supplements, like a rules supplement, but I've already done that. I did a bunch of 5e Greyhawk books, and I'm working on more. They're useful, they're utilitarian, they're hopefully inspiring. They're good, solid books that people can absolutely use if they want to bring the mechanics in. They want to bring mechanics to apply to the setting. But again, I've kind of done it. I'm in the midst of doing it. It's not, again, my dream project. Um, uh, other things like a source book there, that now that might have some possibilities, because a source book, could also be like the blue box for the city of Greyhawk. That would be something to be really proud of. And there's a few out there. I mean, nobody's, I think somebody is working on a Kaoland source book that would be like the other source books that were in the From the Ashes era. They had one for Ayus, and they had one for Furiondi and um, uh, Nyrond, and they had those kinds of source books, which was kind of, they were very, very cool, very packed with information. There was the one that never got published for the Great Kingdom. They never did one for the Filronian Peninsula, which is the Viking-esque peninsula back there, and then it never did one for the Sheldamar Valley, which is where Kaoland is, and all those things. So that might be really interesting to do. I think somebody's doing Kaoland already, and the rest are done. It might be cool to do one for the Backloonish lands. Might be cool to do one for the Thilrodian Peninsula. We'll put that on the shelf. Those are possibilities. Um, Another thing you could do, like a city thing. Stoink is something I've always been interested in ever since it was mentioned in Dragon. Stoink, City State of Stoink Wasp's Nest was in the works, and I know that the notes for it have survived. They did a Q&A, and they didn't talk about it. So that might be another good thing, a source book on Stoink. Rauxes, the capital of the Great Kingdom, that could be really, really cool to do. Um, there's a few things in there that might do well. I'm already working on a war game, which I run at conventions sometimes, a miniatures war game to fight, some of the battles that are described in various places for Greyhawk. That's a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying doing it. Um, and that, because right now I'm really on a miniatures kick, so that might actually be up there as my dream thing. And the good news is I've already started it. And every time I run it, it's a play test, so I'm refining the rules, and yeah, for this situation and so forth. So, that's a definite possibility. But I can't think of any actual adventures that need to be told. Um, the one that connects T1 through 4 to S4, that's a neat one. But again, it doesn't quite rise to the level that I'm looking for. Now you can also do board games. I've been toying with the idea of doing a Merchants of Greyhawk game, where you run caravans from different places and you buy and sell goods. It's almost like a railroad game, but with caravans, and I think that could be a lot of fun. That could be a way to open up Greyhawk into a more mass audience. Because there's a certain segment of the gaming population that they play board games, and that's it, and that's all they want to do. And good on them. But this might be a way to slide Greyhawk into their sphere of vision. Um, I'm also toying with the idea of doing a card game, for like the turmoil between crowns, where you're trying to make sure your candidate for the Overking of the Great Kingdom ascends the throne, and there's like all this room machinations and assassinations and stuff like that, and you're vying for influence to get your candidate on the throne. That could be a really cool card game. You kind of start playing things out and thwarting other people's plots and things like that. But again, is that be all and end all? Yeah, no, not really. Um, the uh, the other thing would be, of course, fiction, and I've dabbled in the fiction area. I've wrote a couple of short stories, which are floating around in different places. But I'm not really a novelist. I've tried, and my novels all turn out to be short stories. I just get to the point too quickly, I guess. But that, if I was able, if I had the ability to do a really kick-ass series of novels set in Greyhawk, that might actually be it. But I don't have that ability. I'm not. I know my limitations, and I am not a novelist. But to have a novel, a trilogy, or something that spans and then all very important things, that would be really cool. Well, as far as source adventures, though, now just now occurred to me, there is something that I've been looking to do, and that would be a set in the year 601, what I'm calling the Age of Exploration, and it would be analogous to the European Age of Exploration, where the various kingdoms of the Flness, the maritime kingdoms, send out fleets of exploration once the Scarlet Brotherhood's lock on on travel across the oceans is broken because they have uh, a virtual stranglehold around the Olman Islands, and that's preventing ships from crossing in there. But once that's broken, then exploration ships and merchant ships go and investigate. They would reach um, Japan, they would reach Zahindia, they would reach all kinds of different Egypt, and the Celestial Imperium would open up. There's a lot of things you could do with that. Um, um, sail around Hetmona Land and so forth. There's all kinds of things you could do with that. A series of adventures exploring that thing that could also turn into source books for those various places. Obviously, Hetmona Land already had a source book in the Scarlet Brotherhood covered it, but there's all kinds of other places. That might be it. It's probably a tie between a series of source books slash adventures that describe the world beyond the Flness as part of an age of exploration, and the war game idea, because I really love war games and miniatures and so forth. So I think that call it a tie between those two things. A massive effort to describe the world beyond the Flness. With adventures to bring the people there, and then source books to describe what's there, so the DMs can build on it and so forth. Between that and the miniatures war game, full the rule book and a full set of scenarios that go into the historical significance of the battles and so forth. I think those two things are a tie for my Greyhawk dream project. So there you have it. I would love to hear from you in the comments. What is your idea of a dream project? Let's say you could do anything you wanted in Greyhawk, within the bounds of reality. What would you do with it? What project would you want to see completed? Please let me know in the comments. Expound upon it. I would love to hear it. What do you think of my ideas? I would love to hear your opinions. Please. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed this video.
Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Below you'll find links to my Patreon, which helps make these videos possible. You'll also find the web store where you can buy my books, and my blog where you'll find all sorts of free downloads and other articles. Thanks, and have a great day.